Hi, I'm Alvina Ling,
And I'm Grace Lynn.
and we're book friends.
Forever!
We're childhood friends,
Who grew up to be
a children's book editor.
and an author and illustrator. Yay!
Welcome to Book Friends Forever. This is the friendship group episode.
And check out our website, bookfriendsforever.com, and our Instagram and YouTube channel at bookfriendsforever_podcast. Alvina, how have you been?
You
Even
have
though
no
I just saw
idea.
you.
Yeah, you just saw me. So we just got back from ALA. Yes, no, 2 days ago. So we're recording this on Wednesday, July 2nd. So Monday was your keynote, which was wonderful. And ALA, I have to say, ALA overall just felt really great to me. I felt really happy and to be surrounded by book lovers and librarians and book champions. Just seeing a lot of old friends. I didn't go to ALA last year, so it kind of felt like, I don't know, like I had been away in a way, and just to see a lot of old friends
Yeah.
felt really good.
I feel like the last time I was at ALA was when I got the legacy, right? And that was like still pretty close to just the quote unquote end of the pandemic. And it hadn't been back to full swing. And like this time I really felt like it was back to full swing. Like it was really busy, so many booths, so many authors, so much swag.
Yeah, and to be honest, like very few masks. I mean, there are some, but I feel like that always contributes to it feeling
Mhm.
more like, yeah, like the pandemic. People did say that last year felt back to normal too, so I think
Yeah.
because just we haven't been there, but yeah, it was wonderful. I am tired though, and I'm leaving for California tomorrow to see family and stay at my parents' house. But so I'm feeling a little bit hectic because work as well, but it's all good. And I think I just wanted to mention that last week, right after we recorded the podcast, so we have had our nephew Balin staying with us. I feel like it's his twin sister Quinn who stays with
Uh-huh.
us, but this time it was Balin. And, to be honest, of the four kids out in New Jersey, he's the one that I feel like I know the least because he's a little, I mean, I kind of interpret it as standoffish. And
Uh-huh.
also lately, like I would say in the last year, he's just always just in his room playing video games. So he rarely comes and interacts with us. But he's been having some like emotional issues, and so his parents thought that a kind of a trip out and to stay with us would do him a lot of good because they have four kids and it's a little bit chaotic, and so here they get undivided attention and just a lot of attention, which I think some kids crave.
Mhm.
So it was really wonderful to get to know him. So last Tuesday, Stephen went to pick him up and brought him into the city, and he came to visit the Little Brown offices. They went to the MoMA, and they met Megan Tingley, the publisher, and she said, "Oh, your aunt is the big boss here." And he turned to me and looked. He said, "You're a boss," which is really cute.
Oh.
Um, and I said, "Well, I'm a boss. Yes, I am a boss." And yeah, and then on Wednesday they went to go see The Lion King, and our friend Alex and one of his bio kids, Gray, they were in town. So they all went to see Lion King together, and then they came back to Brooklyn and we all had dinner Wednesday
Nice.
night. And it was great. So I feel like we know Balin much better. He did say to Stephen, he said, I used to not really want to come out here because I was shy. So I think it's more that he was shy, but now he feels really comfortable
That's
here.
nice.
So it's
Yeah.
really nice that this can be his home away from home. And
Yeah.
um, so, yes. Anyway, how have
That's
you
awesome.
been?
Yay. I've been good. I mean, like I said, we were at ALA together. It was really nice, like I said, to be there because I feel like it's been a while for me
Hmm.
to go to ALA. Yeah, because the last time was the Legacy, so that was like one, two, three,
Three
like
years ago.
four
Or
years
was,
ago. Yeah,
oh, was it four? I thought it
three
was
or four.
three.
three or
Anyway,
4 years ago. Anyway,
yes.
and so it was just for me, it was really nice to see it back in full swing and seeing so many people that I knew. It was just like really interesting to see,
Hmm.
like, oh wait, I know these people. I think, so many things have been happening where I'm forced to like look at how long I've been doing
Yeah.
this. And you're like, I guess I always feel like when we started, I was always like the youngest person in the room kind of thing.
Hmm.
And to realize like, oh, I'm not.
Right. We're not anymore.
We're
You
not.
know, what else is really wonderful is that so many listeners to this
Yeah.
podcast were
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And it was really nice that people came up. So I was in the booth for a signing, and then one person came up and said, "Oh, I love your podcast. I listen to the podcast." And then left. And then someone else came up and said the same thing. And so there
Yeah.
was a woman who was in line waiting for the signing to start. And she said, "Okay, what's your podcast name?" Because she heard, and then so while in front of me, she found it and she subscribed. So,
Oh, that's
and she
sweet.
had talked about, I think she's a librarian. She had talked about the Carl Museum, and I said, "Oh,
Oh,
well, actually, Grace, I
oh,
said the most recent episode is talking with the curator of Grace's exhibit at the Carl Museum," and she's like, "Oh,
oh,
that's so fitting." So, anyway,
that's
I
so
hope
cool.
if you're listening now, whoever you
Yes,
were,
welcome to the
welcome.
podcast.
It made me think like we should have a name for our listeners, but I
I
guess they're just
know.
book
Book
lovers, I
friends.
guess.
Book
Book
friends. They're
friends,
just
book
our book
friends.
friends.
Yes, that's nice. Our book friends.
It's,
Um,
the thing about ALA though, like, and I said this a couple of times in when people were like in interviews at ALA, and I and people always were like, okay, so I feel like I go to ALA and I see so many books and they're all so beautiful. And I know a lot of people say, I come back so inspired, and I do. Half the time I feel inspired, but the other half the time I'm like, holy moly, there's so many books. Like, do I really need to make any more books? There's just so many.
yes.
I know, and I know so many people like
Yes. Then they say
reply
yes.
yes, but I'm not asking. It's kind of rhetorical.
You're
I'm not.
not, yeah, you're not fishing
Yeah,
for,
it's like I don't. I hope people don't think I'm fishing. It's just like this realization that like, gosh, there's just it's like
it is a little mind-boggling.
yeah, it's so mind-boggling. And then when I think about when I was just saying how we used to be the youngest people in the room, and now we're not, and I look back at that, look about how long I've been doing this, how many books I do have, the fact that I have a career in this, and then I look at all the books that are out there that are so really so beautiful. Every booth, every book's beautiful books.
Mhm.
And it boggles my mind that this all worked out for me. Like how did this work out for me? Like this is impossible. Like the odds are just not. It's kind of, I guess that's the great thing about being young is like you don't think about the odds. You don't think about like you just go for it, right? So in some ways I'm glad I started when I did. I feel like if I started now and looking at it like with kind of like this eye of like, whoa, I think I might
It'd be a little daunting. Yeah.
yeah, daunted and kind of discouraged from the get-go. But I think because I was so naive when I started, it was like, just go for it, keep going. Um,
Right.
but
Yeah.
but anyway, so uh, ALA, yeah, it was great. Like I said, so many people. We celebrated my agent's birthday, Rebecca Sherman. Happy birthday, Rebecca!
Happy
Uh,
birthday.
so I organized a little brunch for her, which was really fun. So I got to meet Rebecca's illustrious clients, like Matt Phelan, who I think everybody should know. But he just his most recent is he's illustrating Jeannie Birdsall's upcoming novel, which I read on the airplane, which is so sweet. It's called The Library of Unruly Treasures. But he's
Oh,
an illustrator. Let's see. Who else came? It was Ruth Chan, who just won the Boston Globe Hornbook
Hornbook.
Honor
Hmm.
for I think Uprooted.
Uprooted. Yeah.
Yes. And then I met Corey Tabor, who's won a million uh, Geisel awards, as well as the Caldecott Honor a couple years back for Mel Fell. I met Andrea Beatty, who wrote the whole Rosie Revere engineer series. Like I think it's even a TV show and all that stuff. And so yeah, so it was really fun to meet all of them, and then I had the speaker main stage with John Shu, and that was really fun. I didn't it didn't really click to me how big of a deal that speaking engagement was until I saw all the big placards with
Hmm.
like name like main stage speaker, and I was like, whoa, okay, this is actually a big deal one, and so it was really. It was so when I finally did it, I was like, wow, this is such an honor. I'm so like honored that ALA like let me have this main stage speaker event. So that was really cool. And then
Yeah. So when there were two ALA people who picked us up from the hotel to walk us, backstage, and it was like kind of through this maze. And I was asking them who else, they had
yeah,
been with that weekend. And I think, let's see, Gretchen Whitmer was
yes,
one,
Brene Brown.
Brene Brown. After us was Gina Davis.
And I was like, I feel a little like I don't know if I belong here, but like I said, I think I'm starting to realize, and it's been this really lovely thing that I was telling Alex today, that I that's really kind of hit home to me ever since getting the honorary degree. It's kind of like when the world gives you a gift, instead of like I think for a long time when the world gave me a gift, I'd always feel like, oh, I'm not good enough, I shouldn't take it. I feel like, or like I have to prove
Yeah.
I'm good enough, like I have to do all these things to like prove that I was worthy for that gift. I'm starting to feel like, you know what, maybe you just say thank you and you take it, like, and so that's what
Well,
I'm.
so the last question that Mr. Shu asked you was if, and it's kind of a RuPaul thing where they show a picture of your childhood self and you're supposed to tell your childhood self something. And so why don't you share
Yeah, and so it was
your
like, what
answer?
would you tell your child to self? And I said, I would celebrate everything now, and but it's really what I was just saying. It was like because I think about how my parents, especially my mom, when anything good happened, the big thing was like, don't be too happy, right? You can't
Right.
be too happy because for some reason, if you're too happy, you were like tempting bad fate to happen. And it's taken me a long time to realize like that's no way to live your life. Like when
Right.
something good happens, you have to be like, no, no, I'm not happy about this, like, and so I think I'm starting to realize like, you know what, like life's hard enough. The world's tough enough. When good things happen, just like enjoy it, celebrate it as much as you can. So that was my thing. Though I remember we went around the table trying to figure out what other people would say. What have you thought about what you would say? I remember you were saying you
I
weren't sure.
think, yes. I mean, I don't know. Part of me wouldn't want to tell myself anything because I wouldn't want to change anything. I know Allison Morris said her answer would be to stay curious and kind.
Yeah,
And I like that answer.
I like that answer.
I think I might just say keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. I don't know.
I saw I was looking things up afterwards and I saw someone had said I would tell them, remember, attitude and gratitude.
Yeah, that's
And I was
good.
like, that's pretty good actually. Attitude
Yes.
and
I
gratitude.
think, like maybe a combination like celebrate and be grateful
Yeah, yeah.
is a nice combo.
Yeah, so anyway, and
Yeah.
my plane was super delayed and I didn't get
Oh
home.
no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't get home till really, really late at night, but luckily Hazel is at Girl Scout camp, so it wasn't a problem for Alex to pick me up. So I guess as much as I disliked being delayed so late, like he had to pick me up like midnight, um, I guess in some ways I will be grateful that it was not something that was going to upset Hazel's schedule or like he'd have to leave her in the middle of the night or something to pick me up or I'd have to
Yeah.
leave her because she's at Girl Scout camp having a fabulous time. So
Well, we had a picture book event at ALA with six illustrators, and I'm not going to name them all because then I'll forget. But of the two that I worked with is John Picasso, who's illustrating The Invisible Parade, which is coming out at the end of August, co-written with Lee Bardugo, and Regina Link, who wrote Big Enough, which is that
the one
book,
who
which
I
I've talked about
mistaken
here.
for Amy Lynn a long time ago.
Right. But one of the illustrators is Charlie Palmer.
Oh yeah.
And he was supposed to get home that day for his 65th birthday party, speaking of celebration. And while, like, right before the event was about to start, he basically got notice that his flight was canceled. And so he was trying to get home, and so Jackie, our deputy publisher, said, just go to the airport. You'll have a better chance of
Yeah.
getting home, but he didn't make it. I guess he didn't get back till like 11 p.m. So he missed his own party. It was his
Oh, that's
65th birthday
so
party. So
sad.
I felt really bad about that.
Mm.
Ah,
Well,
but I mean,
Maybe
I guess he could be grateful that had he made it to 65.
that's true. There must be something. There's probably something good. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll let him think of it. But I do remember when I was like getting delayed, I was like, I should have taken the train.
But then you probably would have gotten home at past midnight if you took the
Yes,
train.
that's true. But at least it would have been like
Yeah, on the way.
expected.
But, Victoria Stapleton and I were on the same train, so we went to the Amtrak together, and then Rebecca was there, and she was on an earlier train, but her train was delayed.
Uh,
So, I
I guess
mean, it
everything
wasn't delayed
like
that
yeah.
much, but so she did make it out, and it looks like from social media she made it on her flight because she was
Yay, very
taking a
good.
train to fly to England, I think, to
Yes.
London. But there was another train to Miami that was delayed. It was supposed to leave at like 2:30 and it was delayed to like 6:30 or something. So you
Wow.
just never know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, anyway, since we are coming off of ALA, where we saw lots of friends, we thought we would tackle the topic of friendship groups. We have done the topic of friendship before. I looked it back. I think it was like episode 107 or something. But we just kind of talked about friendship in general.
Uh-huh.
But I know you were interested specifically in talking about friendship groups.
Yeah, I mean, because I think I've mentioned once or twice before how I formed all these groups during the pandemic, and a lot of them are kind of falling apart. I mean, not in through any fault of the people. I still love all the people, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like it's not like a friendship fallout or
Yes,
the
yeah.
friendships haven't ended.
Yes, the friendship has ended. It's just more like we can't meet regularly, and so much of keeping friendships strong is that regularity. Like when you can't. Though I saw some of them at ALN, it was so lovely, but I'm just feeling like, oh, instead of seeing you once a month, I probably is going to start being like once every 6 months, once every, like, and that makes me feel a little sad, and it makes me feel like, oh, I need to sad about that because I miss them, but also because I feel like I'm kind of like craving,
Yeah.
like I need more friends, like, and I need more and that there's kind of a hole that these groups disperse out and change, and that I'm like I have that hole now that I kind of like need to uh
Bill.
fill, yeah. And
No,
find
I've been feeling the same way this year. So, yeah, this year, part of it was because our friends Donna and Danielle moved away. So they had an apartment in New York, in Brooklyn, and at the end of last year, they sold it. And now they're living full time in Barcelona. And they had been kind of going back and forth. So I guess it's a little bit of I was getting used to the times that they weren't in New York. But so they're in New York about half the time, and now that but Donna was at ALA, so that was really fun to see her.
fun.
But I guess we have lots of couple friends, so but they were probably our closest couple friends that we would see the most often for we'd have dinner and have drinks and um so them moving away was just felt like a huge loss to our social
Yeah.
life. And so, we do have other friends, but I just, because sometimes we'd have Donna and Danielle over and then Tracy and Kirk, and it was like a nice
Yeah.
group.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just not the same. And I think listeners might remember that I have a group of friends. I used to have a group of friends called the Randoms,
Hmm.
or we called ourselves the Randoms. This is, gosh, I guess it's I think we formed in 2004 or five. Yes, I think it was 2000. No, it was 2006, I think, when we really became a group. And I'm still friends with many of them, but a lot of them have moved away. But we used to hang out back then. We used to hang out almost every day. And, but definitely on the weekends, like just knowing that there's this group of friends that you just
What's
know
going on
that.
this weekend? Like,
Right, exactly. And even
something.
if some people are out of town, like for the most part, there's always someone around. We'd always, because it was such a big group, there'd always be some birthday party or something,
Hmm.
and now, I'll see some of them for dinner maybe every like 2 or 3 months, but not, and they'll usually, if I have a party, or if they have a party, then, they gather, but it's not the same.
Yeah,
So I've been
yeah,
craving.
yeah,
And yeah.
yeah. I think I think also we're hitting different parts of our lives now. Like now Hazel doesn't really need me so much, you know, so like I have
Hmm.
more free time for like before
Yeah.
like I didn't have as much time because it was like she needed us more, but now she doesn't. So like, oh, well we have time to like actually go out and do things, you know, so or I have time. So, you know, it's we're also hitting that different part of our midlife.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, now that like I think I was more proactive about keeping friend groups when I was single.
Yeah.
Um, because I was more looking for, like I wanted to fill my weekends and now with Steven, I think we are pretty content, just being just the two of us a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that's the part of, where we are in life right now.
Yeah.
But I think we both have been talking about how we want to branch out. And, we've been having dinner with different people here and there, but it's just
Yeah.
not the same.
Yeah. It's so interesting because it's like, how do you find those friends now,
Hmm.
right? Like, and so, uh,
Yes. I
and
mean, I
even,
do so but you still have, I think we both still have some semblances of friend groups still,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Hmm.
So I think for me, I do have my monthly karaoke group. The problem is we don't end up meeting monthly, really. It ends up
Uh-huh.
to be every 2 months, sometimes every 3 months, but it's nice to have at least every month you kind of check in and I'm closer to some of them than others, but it's just a nice activity, I guess, that
Uh,
we bond over. And then I did start a book group that also has only met twice, even though we all, we started it because we all live in Crown Heights.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
calling ourselves a Crown Heights book group, and that's not hasn't fully taken off. But, I think that's when you read articles and you had some articles about like how to build a friend
yeah.
group,
Hmm.
book group comes up a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe I have to start a book group. Like, yeah, because I still have friends groups too. Like, I have like I have a like with Lisa and Jarrett and Mike Corrado, but mainly there's a lot of text threads. Like I have a lot of text thread groups. Right?
Yeah.
It's because it's just so hard for people to meet in person. Though I do, luckily, I just started in like the last half year, like the lunch thing with Heidi Stemple and Molly Burnham and Lisa Yee, where we meet like once, and that's been really once a month or so, and that's been really really nice.
Mhm.
But I feel like, oh, maybe I should do something more like that, you know. So
Yeah. Maybe I should do that with, I have been, so one of my, I don't know if it was a New Year's resolution, but it was one of my work resolutions was to not eat lunch at my desk as much.
mm,
And so every now and then I've been I don't know why I picked these people because I like them, but it's Tracy Shaw, who's art director, Mary Kay Gaudet, who's executive editor for and who does picture books, and then Andrea Colvin, who's the editorial director for graphic novels.
uh,
So I'll like message the three of them and say, anyone free for lunch? And so one time it was three of us. The last time it was all four of us, and
uh,
it's fun. So now I feel like maybe I just need to
put it in,
establish that, like
yeah,
have a
establish.
lunch group.
Yeah. Yeah, I think see, and I do much better when it's scheduled in. Like I think that's the thing. Like I think a lot of other people like to have friendships be more organic, and I completely understand. Like more organic and more like, you know, like we get together, we don't get together. But for me, it's a lot easier if it's like, okay, we're forming a lunch group and this is going to be the lunch group every like so like I don't know what that says about me, but that is the way like I work better. So maybe I should start like a book club. Though one of the things that me and Alex have been talking about, like we want to learn how to shuffle dance.
Oh yeah.
So maybe
Okay.
we should like find a shuffle dance class. They don't offer it at the Y, or we should like find a group, like a friends to
Well,
teach
so
it.
you had found these two articles. One was on Forbes.com, which was 5 ways to start a friend group, and then the other one was on Bustle, how to
Yeah.
build or find a friend group. I don't know the exact how to build a friend group.
Mhm.
And one of them, there was someone who basically was new to a city, I don't know if Atlanta maybe, and basically recorded a TikTok saying, does anyone want to be friends? And I'm here, and kind of introduce themselves, and then got like I think all of these DMs, like maybe like 30 DMs from people in the area, and so started a text thread, or maybe it was a
Uh-huh.
some kind of message thread, and then eventually six people decided to meet in person. And so they
Mhm.
met, I think, at a mall or something. And but then they started meeting regularly. And then after like a year, they actually went on a trip together, and now they're
Aw,
actually really a really strong friend
good
group,
group.
which
That's
is nice.
nice. I don't
So
know if I would do it through TikTok though.
no, but if you have a like a local Facebook page, or if you have a, I don't know, you could post something like that.
Yeah, that's true. I could do it at the Y or something and be like, who here wants to
Wants to
learn how to
shuffle.
shuffle dance?
Or it's like, who here knows how to
Yes.
shovel dance and could teach us?
Yeah, yeah. Does anyone teach
Um,
me how to shuffle
yeah,
dance?
that's true. What are some other ways that these articles said? You
Well,
know,
the one I like the Forbes article because it was going along with what I was saying. It's like schedule your friend meetings, and I was like, yeah, that's me. I need to have it on the calendar.
yeah, so this one says it says start with common interests. So shuffle dancing or a book group.
Or book group.
The key is to begin with a topic that can unite you and give you an excuse to gather.
Hmm.
Okay. Number two is schedule for success. So that's the thing where you
That's what
you
I
have to
think,
schedule it.
schedule.
Um, and then number three, consider chemistry and build bonds. So when you're inviting
Yeah,
people to join your friend group, also consider how everyone will get along. Each group will have
yeah.
its own personality. Um,
That is true. I do find that
mhm,
even each one of my text thread groups have different personalities. And
right.
so,
And then it
some we
says,
can be.
keep it simple. Another key to success is to keep things simple. For example, if you have a book group, you can use the same set of discussion questions each time.
Hmm.
Um, So, yes, you'll also want to consider whether you'll want to establish ground rules. Some groups don't need them. And then number five, lead the way. Every group that works tends to have someone who takes the lead, even in an informal way.
That's true.
So I'm the leader of, I guess, both the book group and the karaoke group.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I tend to take the leadership role too.
right. So I'm the one
Just
who like sends out the email saying, okay, who's in this month? And, I'll send the reminders of, okay, when are we meeting? That kind of thing. Um,
yeah. But a long time ago we were talking about mastermind groups, right? And I was like, yeah,
all
I think
right.
I think that's the other thing. I feel like I want to start like another like I want to start a mastermind group that's kind of like where where it's like people of at least for like career wise where we're all like kind of in a similar spot.
Hmm.
Just uh
I want to do that too. That was my old book group that I talk about sometimes, where when I first moved to New York, it was me, Nancy Mercado, Tara Wykeham at Harper, Anamika Bhattanagar, who was at Scholastic at the time, Jody Reamer, who's an agent at Writers House. Um, I feel like I'm forgetting someone. Oh, and Julie Strauss-Gable, who's at
mm,
Penguin. And we were more junior back then, but now almost everyone is
yeah,
like
yeah.
editorial director, publisher, level.
It would be great. I mean, I don't well you should think about starting one. I'm thinking trying to figure out how to start one
Yeah. If I
myself.
I would definitely have Connie in my group.
Yeah. I think that would be great. I mean, I
Yeah.
keep thinking
And
about
maybe and Nancy
who
too.
and what I would because it's like what I was saying about ALA. Like, there's so many beautiful books, but there's
Hmm.
so much authors can complain about, and there's some things that like feel so ungrateful to complain about. and and when I complain about it to some people, I feel the how ungrateful I am. So and I don't want to like I don't know. I guess there's something about complaining to people who understand that that uh I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like
It,
I'm talking myself into a corner now.
no, I mean, at ALA, there was a Kidlit Drinks
Uh-huh.
happy hour from 3:30 to 5:30, and I went, and it was so well attended. There were a lot of people there. And I was at the bar and I was getting a drink and there was someone behind me and I was like, "Oh, I think we've met." We like and she said, "Yes." She said, we both lost an auction recently." Like and I was like, "Oh, yes." And we didn't get too into it because you do
Uh-huh.
have to avoid any kind of
Yes.
collusion.
Yeah.
But it was just fun to kind of commiserate a little bit of like, "Oh, we
Yeah.
both lost."
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why you like kindling words so much, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's why a lot of people like kindling words so much, And
Right.
so
Yeah. We
I
we
guess,
do always say about yeah, talk about recreating kindling words just in New York. So I could do that.
yeah. Yeah, I have to figure out something like that too. I don't know how though.
Hmm.
I'll, if anybody has any suggestions, that would be great. I'd be happy to hear
Yeah. Well,
because,
and then of course we have our group, but we don't meet in person, but you, me, Libby, and Anna,
oh yeah, yes.
which is fun. So, at I was in an editorial meeting, one of the editors talked about how she has a book group and they pick a really long book that they read all year
Oh
and then
yeah,
they meet and it's they don't live in the same city. So they make a point to then meet in
uh-huh.
person, at the end of the
Yeah.
year. So I
Just
thought that was
that's an interesting.
nice.
Pick War and Peace.
Right. But I mean, I guess you actually, the four of us could do that. We
I
could
know.
have a book.
Let's not do War and Peace though.
No, no, no. But we could have a book club where we just make a
That's
point to
true.
meet
Good.
once a year.
Yeah.
Because we try to meet up at least once a year, the four of us, but it doesn't always work out.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. It's like maybe it's more of a group that we meet for like a masterminds group that we meet like every like by Zoom like every other month or every month, but
But
as
you
long
make a
as we
point to meet in
meet
person
once a year.
once.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's because I think with some of my other groups, the ones that put in, we started in the pandemic, we never made a point in meeting in person, and I think that's why it's falling apart now. But if we made a point, if we had put it in right at the beginning, like we're all going to meet in person at once a year, like I think then it would not be falling apart so much. So maybe
Yeah.
we just have to start something new where it's like we do meet, we're going to make a point.
Yeah. What were the other tips? Let's see. Maybe in the Forbes. No, that was the Forbes one. What was the other one? It was a Bustle article.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
that was
so
one person.
yeah, this one
Snap.
was more examples of
No,
how people did it,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. So.
Um, all right.
Fortune cookies.
Well, we can move on to our fortune cookie segment. And so there was actually, speaking of this kidlit drinks, I met someone who worked at Quirk, who I'd met. So there's an article about Quirk books,
Uh-huh.
um, and how they are pausing their publishing program, and they laid off, I think, 7 people, a
That's
significant
bad.
portion of their staff. So I met one of the staff people who
So
were laid off
Quark,
at the kidlit drinks.
but Quark, was that like a hybrid publisher? I didn't really understand what kind of
No,
pub.
they're an independent book publisher.
Okay.
They published the worst case scenario
Oh,
handbook. Remember
okay.
those?
Hmm.
So they were doing okay, and they had a children's division,
Uh-huh.
and Alex Arnold, who is a former intern of Little
Mhm.
Brown, she was the editorial director there,
Oh.
and so I found out at this Kidlit happy hour that she was laid off.
Hmm.
And her last day is like right after she gets back from maternity leave. She's on maternity leave right now. I mean, I guess at least they're keeping her through her maternity
Yeah,
leave, but
that's true.
and this is what the editor said is that they have no editors left at the publisher.
So that's what makes sense. That's why they're pausing their publishing program, but that's not good for their future. I mean, let's.
No. So the CEO named David Borgenicht
Uh-huh.
said, "We have a plan in place that requires us to really make some staff reductions and change the nature of the list moving forward so that we can be profitable and grow again." Um, so I think it's a shame. There was a tweet or a blue, what do they call it? A blue sky
Yeah.
post.
Cloud. I can't
Um,
Wow.
by a former publisher who said there are no editors at Quirk now, and I was never replaced as publisher. So she quit of her own accord, I think
Uh-huh.
like 6 months ago. And she said the devaluation of the folks who bring in and edit books and develop relationships with authors and agents and link all the other departments together is frankly appalling.
I agree. I mean, that's interesting. What are they going to do? Go try to become like an Amazon self-publisher, the kind
I
of
don't
thing?
know because so the editor, and I've said this before, the editor at a publishing house is the project manager.
Yeah.
So if there is no editor, nothing can happen. I don't
Yeah.
really
They
understand. I mean, I guess they can sell their current list. They can
Yeah,
still,
that's what I was gonna say. They
that's
could
all
sell
they
their
can
current
do.
list, and then they're going. The only thing that makes sense if they were going to move forward to quote unquote grow, like he was saying, would be without any editors. They would just become like Amazon, where it's like, here's you can self-publish your book, and we'll do it. And that's why I was asking, is it a hybrid publisher? Is it like so they're getting rid of their so
Well, so what he's saying, he says he hopes the reorganization will allow Quirk to return to publishing between 25 to 30 books a year. How?
yeah, that's what I was wondering. That's
Yeah. So the other little piece that some people pointed out is that Quirk recently unionized,
uh-huh.
and of course they laid off
Oh.
everybody, so
Or are they
or
going
at least all the editors.
to
So
hire after the sad?
right. I mean, I feel like they do have to. They'll probably, in like 3 months, rehire someone
Yeah.
to keep things moving. So there are only, I guess, there are five remaining union members left at Quirk.
Oh, do you think it's some kind of union busting kind of thing where
I mean,
they
they claimed no, but so production, this
it's
is,
not like they're gonna
of
say yes.
course, this is a quote in the Publishers Weekly article. Production and sales assistant Robin Wright, one of five remaining union members at Quirk, wrote in an email to PW. While we're devastated by the layoffs of so many of our fellow union members, the restructure hasn't weakened our support. We are a smaller group now, but we are forging ahead and looking forward to bargaining our first contract. So I guess they're still a union.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
But oh boy.
So it's unfortunate. I
Yeah. I feel
do,
like there's
yeah,
so much of that kind of stuff in the winds. I mean, we don't need to talk about current events, but current events are not helping situations. So I can see how there might be more of that coming up.
yeah. We talked about the changes at Scholastic in a recent episode, and I do feel
Yeah.
like there's been more. Like I think they announced that they're selling their building, which is I think they're selling their building and then they want to rent from the new building owners, but it's really depressing.
Yeah, they're selling their Soho office, right? The New York office.
Yes. Sorry. Okay, you're back.
So
Can you can you hear me?
oh, sorry. I
Yes.
heard all you. I
Oh,
heard
okay.
yes, I heard it. Yes.
Okay.
But they're selling their Soho. They're
Right.
selling their Scholastic is selling their Soho office.
Yes, which is
And so
iconic, but I
which
guess they're
seems
gonna
really
stay.
sad.
Yeah. It's sad. You're kind of cutting in and out again for me, but let's soldier on. We'll see how
Up a
this.
little. But I can still hear you. It's
Okay.
just that your face. So people on YouTube will be like, why are there words coming out with no mouth movement? But hey, because we're ventriloquists.
Yes. Although since I'm the one recording, maybe we'll see what happens. All right. So let's move on to our tell me about segment.
Tell me about. Tell me about.
Yes. Alvina, please tell me about the wild robot on the island. I'm really excited for this one.
Yes, so The Wild Robot on the Island just came out last week. This is July 2nd. So by the time this come out, it'll be 2 weeks ago. And it is a picture book adaptation of The Wild Robot, middle grade novel by Peter Brown. And Peter Brown, started as a picture book author and
Yay.
illustrator. And, when the movie was happening, he really wanted to bring the book to life in full color in his own way. and which is why he did the picture book.
Mhm.
And it's such a beautiful picture book in its own right. We talked about it already because we did talk about there are three
Yeah.
recent middle grade books that are adapted to picture books, including this one, and Otter is the other one, and Fish in a Tree was the third. And it's so I will say I just got news that it is a number one New York Times bestseller. And it was also a number one IndieBound bestseller. So it's doing really well. And you're frozen again. But
So tell us how the story goes, because I'm curious how he adapted it.
so it really is the story of the first novel, and he really did condense it to the important, really important scenes. Um, Oh, I should show it to our viewers. So here is the wild robot on the island. I think it's 12 by 12 or maybe 11 by 11. So it's a nice big book. Um, and yeah, it really is, like this is a scene from the novel of Roz, breaking out of the cart, the carton at the beginning. And it has the otters, it has a scene where she learns how to talk to the animals and she learns how to survive from the animals. And then, she adopts the little gosling, Bright Bill. So it has like all of the major um beats of the plot. And it works really well, I think, as a picture book. I will say what is interesting is there are some negative reviews on Amazon because they thought it was book four
Oh,
in the middle grade
oh,
series. But it's
uh-huh.
very clear we feel like everything is very clear, but we're taking steps to make it even more clear. Like I actually added a note. I said, "Note, this is a picture book adaptation of the first book. It is not a continuation of the series." Like I put that in like bold
Yes.
on the description. But now they want to do all these other things to make it even more obvious because it's nice though because there's one review. So there's some one-star reviews because of
Uh-huh.
that. But there was one review that was 5 stars and said, "This is not a continuation, a middle grade novel, but it is such a beautiful book." So I just
Yeah.
appreciated it that that reviewer just
It,
reviewed the book.
it's fascinating because there's so many people like you think that you've made things so clear.
Right.
I'll put a post that'll be like, my opening at the Carl is tonight in the Carl at Amherst, and then there'll be like people like, oh, where is this? When is this? Like I'm like, it's right there. That was like the first line. It's like, oh, is this your work? And I'm like, yes,
Do
this
you
is.
think that's our attention span? Like people just don't read?
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I think people just see a photo and they're like, "What's going on?" Like they don't read the caption. They're just like, "Oh, where is this? What is this?"
Yeah.
And it's like,
I think it's funny though because this book is square, first of all. I mean, it's not the same trim size of the novels. I just feel like
you're probably
how
like, "Oh, now he can do
I
novels
know,
that are
maybe.
square because he's so famous."
Maybe. It's very strange. But I think it's a success, and it's a really
Yay!
beautiful
I'm so
book, and
glad
it's
to hear
gotten,
that.
I posted on Instagram that it got received 3-star reviews, but I could only find two, so maybe it's only gotten 2 stars. But
That's
I
okay.
feel
It's
like it
a
got
star in
three.
our heart.
Yes, it's gotten multiple starred reviews. So it is a beautiful book. And I'll show off the case cover to those of you who are watching on YouTube, which is
Oh, I love
it's
that.
kind of a play on what we do for the novels, where
Yes,
we do
yes.
this like a robot.
Maybe that's what threw them off.
Maybe. Um, but yes, so that is The Wild Robot on the Island by Peter Brown, available now. He
Yay!
was on tour. So on Friday night before ALA, Dave Kaplan, who's the creative director and who designed The Wild Robot, he and I joined Peter to go to a bookstore event about out like 45 minutes outside. I think you've probably been there. Children's Book World, I think it's
I think
called.
so. Yeah, a long, long time
Yeah,
ago.
in
Mhm.
Haverford, I think.
Yep. Hmm.
And that was great. And then he had a signing at ALA on
Yeah, I saw him
Saturday.
briefly, like for like I walked in from the airport and I said, "Oh, hi, Peter," and he was like talking to someone, and I didn't want it, so we just like waved.
Yeah.
But I thought I would say more to him later, but I didn't see him again. So I was like, I
Yeah,
guess
well,
he's
that was the last thing he did at ALA. So then
okay.
I said goodbye, and then I had dinner at the hotel restaurant with John Picasso, Regina Link, um, and Daniel Minter, who's another
Okay.
illustrator. And then towards the end of our dinner, I looked up and I looked across the restaurant. I said, I think that's Peter Brown, and it was Peter Brown having dinner with Ruth Chan, who,
Oh, nice.
yes, they're best friends from. They used to live right across the street from each other in Brooklyn.
Aw,
And
Ruth
I
seems to
used
know everyone.
Yes, I used to run into her in Prospect Park all the time. Like
Oh,
she was
that's
walking her dog and I'd be on a run. And then, but I guess she moved a year and a half to the Rockaways, which is still I think technically in Brooklyn, maybe Queens, but
nice.
near the ocean, which is really nice.
Yeah, it was funny because at ALA, I kept seeing her, and she was always like, she had all these friends. I was like, oh, I bet you she doesn't need a friend group.
She probably has friend groups,
She already
yes.
has her friend
But
group.
she has a baby now, and so she
Yeah.
probably just doesn't see her friend group as much.
That's true. That's in her friend
Or
group.
maybe she does.
She'll change because her friend groups will be like baby oriented now. So which is what happened.
Right. That's true.
And then you changes and warps and warps.
Yes.
Um,
All right. Anyway, and now we'll end as we always do with what we're grateful for. Grace, what are you grateful for?
oh gosh, I was not prepared. Let's see. But I think I've already talked about what I was grateful for. I mean, honestly, I just feel like, gosh, how did I make it here? Like, how did I make it so long? Yesterday, in my calendar, I thought it was our 16-year anniversary of Where the Mountain Meets the Moon, but I went to Facebook to get photos, and it said that the Facebook photos are from June. So I was like, oh, so maybe it's not exactly, it wasn't July 1st after all. But regardless, it's still 16 years. And I was seeing these old photos. I was like, oh my gosh, we were so young. We were like such babies.
I guess 16 years ago.
No.
That means that book in most states can drive.
So,
Wow.
yeah. So anyway, and so I think about that, and I think about how long we've both been doing this, and I really mean it when I said I went to ALA and I see all these beautiful books, and I'm like,
Yeah.
gosh, how am I still here? So yes, I'm super grateful that I am still here. I'm super grateful that people still want to read my books. I'm really grateful that I can still publish books. Yeah, even though the world might not need my books, I'm so glad that people still want them. So that is what I am grateful for.
Yay.
How about you?
Um, I think because we just got back from ALA, I'm just gonna say I am grateful for librarians.
Yeah, that's, I
Something
should have
that
said that. Sorry, librarians.
we're all grateful for you. We were talking. So in I was in various signing lines, with the authors and the librarians are coming through, and we noted that there were so many new librarians, like first year librarians, and some of them, seemed to have made career shifts. And, I think in the last 5 years or so with book bans, I think a lot of librarians have been and felt under attack.
Yeah,
And I think it just gives me hope knowing that there are all these new librarians who are coming in with their eyes wide open. They know all of the issues at hand and they're ready to get in there and fight the good fight. So
yeah.
that was really nice. So
That's true.
I'm
Yes,
grateful for
I'm
that.
grateful for librarians too. I should have said that earlier. So
Yes.
sorry, our librarians, but
No.
I'm super grateful for you.
All right. And that was the friendship groups episode. We should find a friendship group with more librarians.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we still have to work on our Patreon group too.
That's true. Because
So maybe we'll start another group that way too.
yes. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to Alex at Paceywork Studio for editing this podcast. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend about it.
And tag us on social media using the hashtag BookFriendsForever, or send us a message via Instagram at BookFriendsForever_podcast, or via our website, BookFriendsForever.com. And please join our Patreon. The link is in the show notes.
I'm Alvina Ling. You can find me at Planet Alvina on TikTok and at Alvina Ling on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads.
And I'm Grace Lynn, and you can find me at Pacey Lynn on Instagram and Threads, and author Grace Lynn on Facebook and Blue Sky.
Have a great week.
And don't forget to read. Bye!
Bye.